What's going on, y'all? I'm back. I know the last video I made was about the Norman Powell trade and how it benefited the LA Clippers, and I wanted to talk about the CJ McCollum trade, but I just abruptly stopped because I really didn't have enough motivation or creativity to at least make more videos, and I just needed a mental break from making YouTube videos, and I took a break from social media because it's a personal things, but I'm back for the time being, and we're about to do episode one of series recap season two. So if y'all don't know about series recap, let me do a quick rundown. It's basically doing these little podcast type episodes where I just talk about the series and my perception of it and how I feel it's going to influence both teams going forward. So now episode one is actually coming at a very unprecedented time because episode one is about the Brooklyn Nets, and you notice in the title I have a big L and I lowercase the rest of Brooklyn because that's what they were, man. They were just a walking L all season long, bro. Um, I'm actually looking at it right here, right now. I remember at one point, I think that was like when they had Javon Carter and DeAndre Bembry, they were like seventh in defensive efficiency. And by the end of the regular season, they were on par with Brooklyn, OKC, New Orleans, Denver, and the Lakers. And the Lakers were one of the worst defensive teams all year. Somehow Brooklyn managed to look just as bad. But sorry about that. I'm not sick. I'm just a little phlegm in my throat. But anyways, yeah, the Nets went out sad, and I don't know. We're gonna talk about KD's legacy in just later on the episode, but I do want to give credit to the Celtics. They had the best game plan for Kevin Durant. They blitzed him. They blitzed my guy by sending two to three to four bodies at him. They were quintuple teaming him at one point. Okay, maybe not that. I'm exaggerating a bit, but you know what I mean. They gave KD a lot of hell, and the only thing that KD responded with was a good 36-point performance, which was his best performance of the series. A lot of people kind of discredited that performance. I thought it was actually a really good performance for what it was worth, considering the first three games he was absolutely trash. Like, dog, 27 points in game two, with 18 of those points coming from the free throw line, and he missed two of them. And they blew a 17-point lead. So, all three games were considerably close, but Brooklyn could not squeak out any and either one of them. And they choked every last one of them. And on top of that, there was no size. Bro, I'm literally seeing Steve Nash play four guard lineups with your biggest guy in Claxton and KD. Like, I'm literally seeing four guard lineups. You have Kyrie, Seth Curry, Goran Dragic, and Bruce Brown. You have those four guys playing at the same time. When any other coach would actually put Blake Griffin as the center next to Claxton. That's what a smart coach would do. But nah, Steve Nash was allergic to that. I mean, bro, they were getting killed on the glass. In game four, they actually made an effort for the loose balls and all that. Like, this was okay. Game four was the only game that I felt like the Nets showed effort. The last three games, they showed little to no heart. Kyrie Irving showed little to no heart after game one. Kevin Durant at least tried in game four, but he ended up being trashed the rest of the series. Game four was his best game, and I've seen much better performances than game four. But man, this Nets team just kind of rubbed me off the wrong way this season, and their season was a disaster. I mean, I thought everything was going to turn on. How do you say it? After Christmas break, I thought the switch was going to be flipped because Kyrie came back. They got a good win over a team that was actually the favorite to come out the West in the Los Angeles Lakers. So everything looked like that they were gonna flip the switch. But as soon as Kyrie came back, he was only a part-time player, and Kevin Durant managed to get hurt, and Kyrie Irving and James Harden um, produced more losses than wins. And then it got James Harden frustrated. And I'm not even siding with James Harden. I think he's a choker, and he's going to choke this one in Philadelphia. Oh, I can't wait for that episode. I can't wait to release that episode because that's going to be a doozy. But he requested a trade because he wasn't happy there. And well, not a lot of people, but I myself thought this was his best chance playing with the two guys that you see on your screen right now. I thought that was his best chance. But unfortunately, he disagreed with me. And I get it. Kyrie Irving is a drama queen, and um, his lack of availability hurt the team, and him not wanting to get vaccinated, which he got a lot of support because, I'm not even going to get into that stuff. But the whole thing about the Brooklyn Nets drama, it mostly had to do with Kyrie. Now, Kyrie's not the sole blame for it. Kevin Durant actually taking the loss, whatever. Like, that kind of rubbed me off the wrong way. And KD's one of my favorite players. But what he said in his post-game interview about, well, shit happens and all that. Nah, bro, that rubbed me off the wrong way. But let's talk about KD's legacy for a minute. Because a lot of people are starting to doubt if KD is the guy who I don't want to say he thinks he is, but how a lot of people perceive him. They perceive him as the best player in the NBA, which it was actually true at one point. He actually showcased that he is at least a top 3 player in the NBA, giving us his 3 best stretches of basketball. I think those are the best stretches I've seen Kevin Durant play. Remember, he had, I think, 49, 16, and 10 in that game 5 against Milwaukee. I gotta go look that up. I think it was 49, 17, and 10. But he also followed that up. I forgot how many points he had in game 6, but I know in game 7, up until overtime, he scored 48. And again, I thought that was the best of Kevin Durant that I saw. And I love Kevin Durant. I've always loved him, even if he went to the Warriors. So I kind of hated him for that. But he was still my favorite player regardless, because he's a very, very lethal scorer. But I don't know. The way he lost this series, I'm looking at it right now, he was 39% from the field, 41% from 3, so he was better than from 3 than he was from the rest of the field. And he had very mid performances and a very shit performance in game 2. Now the box score says, oh, he had 27 points. Well, that's good. No. 18 of 20 from the free throw line, bro? Nah, bro. Ugh. And a lot of people are pointing at KD's legacy because they're looking at the fact that he's not the best scorer. No, he's the best scorer that paired with a team that beat him when he was up 3-1 when he had Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City. So everyone's doubting, even with the 2 rings and the Finals MVPs he's gotten, a lot of people are doubting if he's truly a champion. And I'm starting to lean on that same type of thinking. Because if KD was that type of champion, he would not have allowed his team to get swept. And again, I'm not trying to hate or bash on KD, but I'm just saying it like it is. He's a guy you can win a championship with, and he'll be a reason why you win a championship, but he won't be the reason. There's a difference between there, y'all. Don't get that mixed up. Let me say that again. He will be a reason why you win a championship, but he won't be the reason. And that's how, people are viewing him. But that's enough talk about the Brooklyn Nets. They gotta know they need to get athletic wings and rebounders, and Claxton, bruh, I think Claxton is a dog, but they're not gonna win with him shooting as poorly from the free throw line. I saw the stat on TNT when I was watching the game at my local gym yesterday. It said like he was 27% from the free throw line in the playoffs, while he was a 58% free throw shooter in the regular season. Like, dog, I think Claxton could be an X factor on a really good team, but he can't if he's shooting that poorly. And also, I don't know why I brought this up throughout the whole video. I'm like 10 minutes and 45 seconds in. But can we stop this notion that Ben Simmons is going to be a world beater for this team? After what I saw last year in the playoffs, if y'all don't remember my video, the Sixers went out sad and terrible, and Ben Simmons is garbage. Um, I'm he had that incredible meltdown against against the Hawks, because he had demons in his psyche from the free throw line, like Skip Bayless always says, and I actually do agree with him that Ben Simmons has those demons. And remember, he was 4-14 in that game 5 against the Hawks when his team was up 26. But a lot of people are saying that, oh, well, Ben Simmons has KD, Kyrie, Seth, Drummond. He has all these pieces he can pass it to. All he has to do is be a run and dunk cutter. Yes, that is true. But that really doesn't mean much if he's a bad free throw shooter. Remember, he is afraid to check in sometimes, and I see it in his body language, because he believes teams are going to foul him. And you don't want to feed him the ball because he knows they're going to foul him. So let's stop acting like Ben Simmons is like this world beater that's going to help out the Nets. The Nets' problems defensively is based on the schematic Steve Nash drew up. And they're not even good defensive schemes. I don't even know what they're doing on defense half the time because they look so damn lost. And Ben Simmons is not going to help that. He would if you have the following pieces. You have a DeAndre Bembry, who they let go, a Serge Ibaka, who I believe the Nets were going to get in the 2020 free agency, but for some reason Kyrie and KD didn't want Serge. And they could have kept Jeff Green too, another piece that they let go. So yeah, Ben Simmons would work with those type of players on his side. And as great as Kyrie and KD are, once Ben Simmons is at the free throw line and he misses them, that deflates a whole lot of momentum. Teams are not going to care if Ben Simmons is on the court. They're going to treat him. The Nets are still going to play 4-on-5. So no, Ben Simmons is not this world beater that's going to solve every single last one of the Nets' problems. And I've seen it throughout his career. He didn't, I thought he had good upside. I said this in my Sixer timeline video. I thought he had some good upside after his first year, and I thought he was going to strive to get better, but he has not. So we also got to stop this notion because of the fact he has Kyrie, because of the fact he has Seth Curry, because of the fact he has Patty Mills and KD and LaMarcus and Blake and all those guys, that he doesn't have to shoot. Eventually, they're going to pressure him to shoot the ball, and it's up to him to take that shot and make it. And chances are that's not going to happen. So no, I'm not high on Ben Simmons. I'm not sold on the Ben Simmons trade. And the dude has no competitive edge to him. Reggie Miller pointed it out in his Twitter, where he said Ben has no competitive drive, where the team needed him the most. And all of a sudden, he has a back injury. Now, I get it. Back issues are not a joke. And he's been dealing with a lingering back injury throughout the season, I'm guessing. But I don't know. It's just like he's vanishing when a team needs him like he did last year. Just this time, he's not in uniform. He's in street clothes. Like a certain guy we know, or a certain guy I know who sports a unibrow and is on my team. Ben Simmons is street clothes the second. I don't know. I'm like ranting all over the place, but this team was all over the place this year and not in a good way, especially with James Harden and Kyrie Irving being in and out, being a part-time player, being a quote-unquote voice for the voiceless. Just being unprofessional. Like, look, I understand you have your personal beliefs, but keep that shit to the side. Not every single last one of us need to hear that. And Kevin Durant being injured did not help them either. If Kevin Durant played enough games, I think he would have been up there in the MVP discussions with Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid. Because he had MVP stats this year. What did he average? Like 29.9, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists? 6 assists? Those are MVP numbers, but the problem is he didn't play enough games because of injury. And I think at one point in time, he was in health and safety protocol. And I did my offseason video on the Brooklyn Nets. And I was wondering what they should do. I said getting guys like Avery Bradley, Danny Green, JaVale, like getting guys that helped LeBron and AD in their first year, which I thought that was better for Kyrie, KD, and Harden, getting defensive pieces that can shoot like we did in LeBron and AD's first year. But nah, they disagree with me. They disagree with a whole lot of people too, but I don't know. The Nets, they have a lot of shit to figure out this offseason because the fact that this duo right here, forget James Harden, this duo alone was expected to win a title. But all they got, the closest thing they got, was a Game 7 versus the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round. The first year I can forget because both of them were hurt. And they didn't want to participate in the bubble because they were trying to recover from their injuries. So that's fine and good. The second year, I can't really seem to forgive, but I'm kind of lenient on the second year because, yes, Kyrie was injured and James Harden was a shell of himself after that hamstring injury, and Kevin Durant put that team on his shoulders, and he did all he could, and he just couldn't do anything in overtime because he hit that wall. The third year, I'm just like, nah, I can't forgive any of this. The Nets are cooked, man. Like, the Nets are dead ass cooked. But they got a lot of shit to figure out, bro. Like, because this was the embarrassment of all embarrassments. Now, if Philly somehow blows this 3-0 lead against the Raptors, I'm going to change my tone and say that is the embarrassment of all embarrassments. But until then, this stands out as the embarrassment of embarrassments. I don't know anything better to say than that. But enough about Brooklyn. The Celtics are actually legit. The Celtics are legit, bro. And I saw this after the All-Star break when they started winning ball games again. And I was watching some of the games. The Boston Celtics look like one of the best, or not one of the best defensive team in the league. Of course, I think they were third in defensive efficiency last time I checked. Like, I know when I made my video on the Cavaliers, it was the Cavs that were the third best defensive team. But the Celtics were the third best defensive team, and it looked like they were better than both Phoenix and the Warriors combined. And I think that's mostly because they have what Brooklyn didn't have. They have long, athletic guys that can defend like hell, and they have a backbone defensively. And I think partially it's because of Ime Udoka, who was a prospect who was an assistant coach for those Spurs teams. And in truth, he was the assistant coach to Steve Nash in last season. And Ime Udoka set a really nice defensive system, and I believe, similar to Willie Green with the Pelicans, he instilled that you gotta fight mentality on defense. Marcus Smart is obviously the best, or one of the best defensive point guards in the NBA. You can either toss it up between him and Drew Holiday. I think they're both equal. But Marcus Smart is the heart and soul of that defense. Robert Williams has emerged as one of the best defenders in the league. Being able to play 1 through 5, his athleticism and his size, he's dangerous. And Tatum is an offensive machine. But let's not forget the things he can do defensively now. I think a lot of people have underappreciated Jason Tatum's growth as a player. Because honestly, I thought he was just this one-dimensional scorer who a lot of people overrated after the first year. But watching him grow and watching the Celtics that are watching the Celtics play as an under the radar team rather than a title favorite like they were when they had Kemba and Kyrie. Well, mostly Kyrie. I don't know about Kemba. I don't know if they were the favorites with Kemba, but I really liked Jason Tatum's growth this year, and I really love the big step he took as an elite defender. Jaylen Brown's always been a good defender, so I'll leave it at that. Grant Williams can defend. Daniel Tice can give you some defensive plays, but I think the credit goes to these three guys: Ime Udoka, Marcus Smart, and Robert Williams. Those three guys deserve their credit, and those three were the main reasons why the Celtics were able to turn this thing around. So, as much as I hate the Celtics as a Laker fan, they have impressed me. I'm not gonna say the Celtics have earned my respect like I did with the Clippers because I know some people actually got pissed off at me for having that as my video title. So, if they manage to beat the Bucks, I'm gonna title that episode "The Celtics Have Impressed Me," not the Celtics. The Celtics have earned my respect. But until then, Boston has a lot to figure out with Acampo and the Bucks, and they get a lot of rest. They get a lot of rest time, and this is a scary team. I've been telling people that this is an under the radar team, and I think they're gonna make a lot of noise. And I really do think that they can make a run for the finals. That's just me. But yeah, I'm back on YouTube. And I hope you guys enjoyed this very long episode. Again, I'm sorry if I kind of sound a little under the weather. I'm not. I'm just kind of getting back into the groove of being a YouTuber. And my apologies for all the stuttering and such. But I'm gonna continue a series recap, or at least I'm hopeful that I can continue this without having any prolonged breaks. But I can't really promise anything because that's the trajectory of my channel. But yeah, I really have nothing else to say. Nets, you guys are screwed.